Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Antonov, President of the United Republic of Obscurium. You will already know me probably, and I'm here today with my good friend
Ramiro. I'm an Argentinian micronationalist, and yeah, I would like to call myself creator and developer at the Micronational Directory.
and that's exactly what we are here to talk about today. We both have our little micronational side projects, besides our main micronations, the Micronational Directory, as already mentioned, and I, of course, do lead the Micronational Flag Archive. So today we're going to present these two projects to you to make you more aware of them and hopefully to get more people interested in participating in them, because we do always need more people. So,
Absolutely.
Ramiro, would you like to give us a short overview of your project? What it is about?
Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely, sir. So the Micronational Directory was founded on the idea and on the mission to create a place where micronational data can be gathered and can be saved in an efficient and safe way. The idea is to create entries for each micronation, and these entries have specific information on each micronation. And so the idea is to keep the legacy of the micronational history in a place where it's accessible for everyone and everyone can participate. So that's the main concept that we have at TMD.
Wonderful. Well, you might already be familiar with the Micronational Flag Archive if you know me, but I will also explain that real quick. The basic idea behind it was there is no real place where all micronational flags are listed, so why not have such a place? Micronational flags, state symbols, coats of arms, emblems, all of that. But we have lots of things like MicroWiki and such with lots of info on the micronations, but high quality flag images and adoption dates and the description, the little details, because that's where the devil is, of course, that's always missing. And I'm, of course, the flag man of the micronational community, as I like to call myself, so who else to start with a Micronational Flag Archive?
That's great. So both projects have the idea, the intention to be an archive on your side and a directory. There are probably similar structures somehow. So I think we have pretty much in common both projects, and maybe some differences. But what I can see, at least from the surface, it's a pretty common idea in both of them.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'd be interested to hear what specifically inspired you to start the Micronational Directory.
Well, that's a good question. I think there are two key concepts on which I based my intention to create the Micronational Directory. First of all, I am a micronationalist myself, or I was. I'm still trying to figure it out for nowadays, but I can certainly say I was. So I really enjoyed my time as a micronationalist back in the day. I think there was never been a successful similar project. There have been certainly past projects that try to emulate this idea of creating lists or creating directories of entries, or have every micronation listed in a place. There have been projects like this, but what motivated me and what inspired me to accomplish TMD as it is nowadays is the fact that I think I may be mistaken, but I think none of them was successful in terms of going over time and still existing after the passing of time, and maybe not all of them including like a lot of micronations, or maybe they were specific to some sector or some historical moment or whatever, or specificity. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here in that matter. And also, I am a web developer, so this is this is like some exercising for me. This is enriching in terms of still, of still learning and practicing, and that's very useful. So that's are my two main concepts. And what about the micro flag archive?
Well, I think
Same question.
I think I already went a little bit into that. It's really something that hasn't been done before, and I love flags. I love anything that has to do with flags, and I just wanted a place where micronational flags were listed and where you could find all this detailed information that's not on our site. And when you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself because not many else is doing it. But there's also this other factor. I really love looking at books of macronational flags. There are some books like flag atlases where you have a page of the national flag and then some description, maybe a coat of arms or something too. And I thought, well, why isn't there something like this for micronations? So this is basically my attempt to do the same thing for micronations, but in a digital environment. The idea is there, maybe when I have 1,000 entries or something like that, to actually make a book out of it. But that's still in the future.
Wow, that sounds great. Sounds like a great plan.
Oh, thank you. So, how do people? How does the Micronational Directory work? How do people participate in that?
Well, the idea of the platform is very well. What we're trying to do is like a very user-friendly approach. Like the main intention is for users, either micronationalists or not. I mean, everyone is included, but the idea is for users to create an account in our website, and they can engage with the mission of DMD. They can create entries on their own. We have like a form, an entry creation form, in which users can create their own entries and provide information that they find on different sources. Then the entry undergoes a moderation process, is checked by me. And if the information complies with the requirements, there is a set of requirements. So if it complies with them, it is approved, and now it's part of our directory. As simple as that. So I think, in my opinion, it's very straightforward. We have seen engagement of 40 users so far. We really hope to increase that number, but I think the mechanic is working, the dynamic is working, and that's pretty much how it works. We have attempted to create something useful.
See, that's what I really like about your project. It's very user friendly and very easy to participate in, and it gives whoever is looking at the site a great overview of what's going on. That obviously the Micronational Flag Archive is a far more specific, deals with a far more specific and kind of niche topic. And it's the process of getting your flag to be in the Micronational Flag Archive is also a bit more complex. It's not, unfortunately, not as simple as filling out a short form. People do have to hand in the information, but I do try to make it as easy as possible for them. We have letters I give to fellow micronationalists, and I have on the website there are the exact requirements, the information we need from people to feature their state symbols, their national symbols on our site. So all they have to do really is get the pictures out of their archives, look up the adoption dates and the description. I think that's that's always the most difficult part, the description, because sometimes there's not an official description of the flag or whatever it means. But that's what the archive is for. It's to get this information. It's a bit more difficult sometimes, but we are getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, I think it still works because I've seen your project and I really like the concept of it. Maybe as you're saying, maybe you're just describing the method is different, but still, I think it's very successful. And I think once you start in having more users engaged and providing you with the information, it will eventually you'll be able to add more entries. Of course, it takes more work because you're handling more specific information. You're handling images. You're handling like a large amount of work, but that does not determine success. The project is still successful. So I also think, because thinking about our two projects, I think both are unique on its own way, because there are clearly some equivalent aspects here. Like, we both have platforms that invite users to provide informations about micronations. Of course, that's the similarity, but the difference and the uniqueness is probably the kind of data that we're trying to get from users, right? So do you see it the same way?
Yes, absolutely. I have to fully agree with you there. It's obviously, that when you think of micronational information, of a micronational encyclopedia, you will of course think of MicroWiki. That's the main go-to page. But the Micronational Flag Archive differs from MicroWiki and other pages that list micronations in a way that it's just about the flags. We don't care about your... obviously I care about it, but the page doesn't care about your micronation's history or about who the current president or king is. It doesn't need your economic statistics or any things like that. It cares about the national symbols and information regarding national symbols and nothing else. It's only for that. It's for nothing else. Yes, we do have the website and the founding date of the micronation at the bottom of each entry, but it's all about vexillology and heraldry and all that. It's not about anything else, which differentiates it from, I think, any other micronational project out there I know of. And
yes, that's...
sorry?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because at least to my knowledge, I think it's I've never heard of anything similar in terms of saving vexillological data from micronations. So I think it's pretty much unique in the whole history of micronations. I dare to say.
Well, someone had to do it, as I said. So I'm very curious to hear, and I'm sure all the people watching this are as well, what makes your directory different from pages such as MicroWiki or other micronational directories and such sites?
Well, I think the difference goes along with the same topics we're discussing here. Like MicroWiki, as you mentioned, it's probably the most famous source for micronational information. And there, users create articles, like full articles, on describing a micronation, about its politics and history and culture and whatever needed to be saved and stored. Usually, like it's a whole different concept of information. It's an article. So the difference here with TMD is that the idea is to create overview entries for each micronation, not a whole article describing the micronation, like key points or bullet points about the main topics of a micronation, like their name, of course, the flag, the date it was founded, contact information, website sources for trying to know more about that micronation and creating interest on the user. So it's pretty much a directory, hence the name, and that's what I think it creates the difference with others previously existing projects. The idea is to be simple, concise, and efficient. That's what I would describe.
I think you're doing quite a good job at that. As I already mentioned previously, I really like how good of an overview of micronations it gives you. It doesn't overwhelm you with articles and information, and tries to throw everything at you. It gives you an overview to select from, and then if you see something that interests you, you can decide to go from there. And the nice thing too, it's a great advertisement for any micronation to be part of such a project. Because people might see the micronation might see an interesting flag or might like the name, and then they can click on the website and go on research more about micronation. Maybe the micronation will earn a new citizen from that. So I think it's very beneficiary for micronations to participate in such a project, but not everybody seems to agree with that view, right?
Yes, you're right, Sar. Well, anyway, we have to say the majority of the community is engaging with I would just say both projects, the two projects that we're describing here, because as of today we have more than 600 entries in our directory. So it means that people is participating, and people is seeing positive things, positive positiveness out of the TMD. Although yes, it happened that some micronation that I will of course not disclose for privacy purposes, they have contacted us and explaining that they didn't want their micronation to be listed in the directory. Initially, I thought maybe that's a little bit odd because of the benefits you were just saying. But first of all, it's very important to consider that we have to be respectful with a person and with its micronation and with the data that is being publicly disclosed. So it's very important to have that in mind on the first hand. But still, I wanted to ask them why would they feel that way? Why would they want that? Unfortunately, sorry, I didn't get a reply so far. So the entry is still up, is still online. But well, I hope to soon.
I think that's very odd too. It's free publicity for micronation, and I can't really see. We can't really see any negative sides to it, but it's their data, and if they want the data removed, of course they have every right to, and we will respect that. But that having been said, it's it's still a bit strange to see things like that. I've never had anyone request that will remove their information, but that's also partially because with the Micronational Flag Archive, I closely work with the governments of the micronations, and of almost all entries I have on the Micronational Flag Archive, I have the explicit permission of the micronations to use the symbols there. Because when you're dealing with a micronational symbol specifically, it's sometimes also an issue with, am I allowed to use these symbols here? Some flags might be copyrighted or something. There might be laws governing them. So my opinion, it's better to ask for permission. There are like 2 or 3 exceptions, I believe, with 2 or 3 entries for which I haven't had permission from the micronations, but they're very big micronations, and I don't think anyone will care or mind in those cases. But usually I do. I either receive the information directly from the micronation, or I ask the micronation to give me the information. So it's not really a case where any citizen from the micronation, also because it's such specific information I need that not every person out there has. So with the flag archive, most of the time, the information is going to come from. Now, in really every case, the information is going to come from the government itself. So there isn't going to be an issue where later on they'll say, "Oh no, I didn't want you to feature me on the archive. Why did you do that?" But there's the difference.
Right.
There's a different approach of our 2 projects, of course.
Exactly. As you were saying this, I was thinking maybe, and the entries at the Microflag archive are like more handcraft, so to
Yeah.
say, handcrafted, because that clearly requires the involvement of the official government, because there's more precise information, more specific information, other than just some official website and some name and some official flag. Like I see the handcrafting, so to say, in the microflag archive.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bit chaotic, because I sometimes have got the description. I like to have both the description and the meaning, and sometimes I don't get I only get one of them. The meaning is kind of what I'm after the most. So if I don't get the meaning, I will of course try to get that as well. But sometimes it's a bit difficult to match those two together, especially if they have some micronations only have like a description of the coat of arms on the website or something. Then I have to get the meaning from them. It's completely different text, and then I have also to change some words for it to read our flag, but the flag of this micronation, because it's supposed to be from a neutral perspective. So it's a lot of handcrafting and editing and stuff like that, which also leads to some minor mistakes slipping in here and there. But it's an ever-improving project.
Well, but we cannot be perfect, of course.
No.
It's also not easy to handle these projects. It's important to say to the audience here, because it may sound like it's a very straightforward process or whatever, but there is a lot behind of these. Like, it's a lot of effort, and mistakes can be committed, of course, and we have to try to avoid them. But we will still be committing them. Of course, we always having in mind the idea of improving and getting feedback from our users, because at least for TMD we try to get feedback from the users, and maybe they can comment on what they think it's not so good, on what can we improve, what can we change. And I think it's really important for any project to thrive and to basically to change for good.
Naturally, and change actually brings us to the end of this little exchange. The future. What do you think lies in the immediate future for the Micronational Directory? Do you have any milestones ahead of you? And something tying into what you said earlier, how are you going to avoid making the same mistakes other similar previous projects made? How is the directory going to survive the test of time?
Well, I really hope the future is bright and is great and is fantastic.
Well, don't we all?
I'm kind of foreseeing that, because of the beginning for the Micronational Directory since August 31, the last day of the month. It's been a little more than 2 months now since the launching. The beginning was very successful. So I think we will still be on this path. This path of users getting engaged. This path of having time to work on the features and working on the website. I think we will thrive on that regard. The difference here with the past projects and how maybe they failed over the years is that we're currently using a proper database on Google Firebase, and this is a very modern and useful and successful tool for handling data. While some other listings of micronations in the past used a list of text in web pages, in proper web pages. So naturally, websites will go offline, and if somebody didn't save that information, it simply got lost. And so that's what happened to most of these initiatives. Of course, the Wayback Machine exists, which is an initiative that allows to access older websites that are down, that are currently down and offline. But that's not enough because not all the information is saved. So that is our approach to avoid that, to have all this information that we're gathering to be saved a long time, and to pass the test of time, as you were saying. I think we will be managing that. So that's pretty much about the future for TMD. And what would you say about the future milestones for the Microflag Archive? Are they similar?
Oh well, it's expansion for the Microflag Archive is a bit of a slow process. We talked about how generally it's a bit of a slow process to get things added to the archive. So I wouldn't really say that I expect our numbers to skyrocket, especially the number of entries added each year. It's kind of a gradual thing. There are about the same number of entries added every year. I do try to get more exposure for the archive through things like this, through exchanges and talking to people. When I do state visits, I hand them over a brochure, a pamphlet. Oh, here's the Microflag Archive. Why won't you add your state symbols? And I go to great lengths to try to get to people, to get this information to people, and try to encourage them to participate in the archive. But it takes a lot of time, so and it's a longer process. But we're going to keep growing over the next few years. I'm quite certain, and maybe we'll get to that book eventually. Who knows?
I think. Sorry for interrupting, but no. I think as you were saying this. Will we eventually, finish our projects? Because if we think about micronations, we're talking about like thousands of cases. So we're both creating entries for micronations. Will this ever end? That's the question about future. What do you see?
That's the thing. I think what I'm doing here with the Micronational Flag Archive is kind of an impossible task, because number one, nobody knows for certain every single micronation out there and how many there even are. There might be some guy in Russia, in bloody Yakutsk, who decided to make his shed the shed behind his grandmother's house his own country. But he doesn't talk to anyone about it, at least not online, so we are never going to know that micronation exists. So, this situation kind of makes it impossible to truly finish our task. Same goes for the directory, but we can get close to it, I think. No, I think, this is optimistic, but we can get about 2/3 done, I think. At least.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, because especially if, as you were saying earlier, if more people start to engage and we spread the message, both initiatives, both projects will surely get more participation. So if we're working alone on this, I'm pretty sure we won't make it. That's honest. If we have help from our community, from the micronational community, we can surely get to the 2/3, as you were saying. So I definitely agree. That will involve a lot of work, a lot of effort from micronationalists. But I think the reward is great. We will be having to. Yeah, absolutely. We will be having two resources from where to get information that is very valuable.
If you're watching this, if you're a fellow micronational vexillologist out there, if you want that full sweet list of micronational state symbols, you better do everything you can to get them to me. I can only do so much and contact so many micronations. It's ultimately up to the people to come to me and bring the symbols to me. And same with you, Ramiro, of course. It's up to the people to add more entries and fill up the directory, so we can have a nice long list there.
Absolutely, it's very important to take that note because ultimately it's for them, it's for you too, it's for the
Exactly.
audience, it's for the people to know about more, to keep the legacy of micronations, and to have history. History is, I think, the concept of history is very important. I think it's what we're both doing here. So yeah, it's for you people.
Exactly. It's not just for me to sit around my bedroom and stare at this the information about the flag of Dracul. Everybody, this is supposed to be for the whole world to see. Everybody is supposed to think it's for someone who thinks to themselves, oh yeah, I like this micronation, I like this Commonwealth of Dracul thing, and that they can just go to the Micronational Flag Archive to see information about their national symbol specifically, if they're a person specifically interested in the information. That's how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pretty much the same goes to TMD. They can go to the directory, and maybe they can find micronations that have the same official language. So maybe they can initiate diplomatic relations with a country, with a micronation that uses the same language, or maybe from the same sector, or maybe a similar area. We have a map also. Physical micronations can store where they are located if they want to, and maybe micronationalists can find peers that are on the same close in the same area. So I think it's useful in all these matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that brings us to a good conclusion. We have said all we have to say. We've done all we can do. The rest is up to you.
Absolutely, I agree. That's probably the line.
So with that, I thank everybody for watching, and I would also like to thank you, Ramiro, for participating in this lovely exchange. Thank you.
Oh, I have to thank you, Zar. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm very exciting. It was very useful, and pleasure is all mine.
Wonderful to hear. So with that, I close this. Exchange, and if you would like to know more about our projects and would like to participate, you will find links to both in the description. And that we both say goodbye. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.